Hello again, everyone. Edwin Lerner back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Mercury square or opposition Neptune in a natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in a natal chart. They're a little bit concise. Some people may refer to them as snappy. So what I decided to do is make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is, well, if you have Mercury square or opposite Neptune in a natal chart, one way it may manifest could be where you may have a certain difficulty in terms of communicating, which is Mercury, about your dreams and your fantasies, which is Neptune. Now, if Neptune, say, is in Aquarius, those dreams and fantasies, may be tied in, with astrology or astronomy, computers, electronics, aviation, meteorology, innovation, selfless humanitarian work as some examples. If Neptune is in Capricorn as another example, those dreams and fantasies may be tied in just simply to career ambitions, attaining greater social status, stature in life. It could be doing something Capricorn related, such as construction, architecture, business, accounting, dentistry, masonry, information technology, as some other examples. Now, also too, this also can be, this aspect may be inauspicious for short journeys, which is Mercury, to Neptune-related venues, whether it could be doing something, going to a dancing venue or movies, or photography expo, chemistry expo, or even something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology. It doesn't mean going to these places necessarily all bad, but there may be certain delays, local transportation trying to get there, or maybe there's a few more bad experiences at these places, more so than most others on average. And let's say if Mercury is in Pisces as an example, those short journeys may really be, confusing, chaotic, convoluted, at times. Mercury in Aquarius, the short journeys may be a little bit more erratic and sporadic as another example. Now, another thing too is that you may, there could be, certain, trouble, or you're trying to, think, which is Mercury, using your imagination, which is Neptune. And the thing is, say if Mercury is in Virgo, it might be something where, you're just, constantly analyzing, trying to, in terms of trying to figure out, something that could be, imaginative. It could be, Mercury and Pisces may even give more, confusion in doing so. If you're trying to, think of something in terms of using, one's imagination, if you have, like, say if you got Gemini involved, it might have to do, with a car as an example, or a vehicle, and trying to use some imagination in connection with vehicles. Now, another thing, if Aquarius is involved, it could be something with imagination being used for computers or electronic devices, or even astrology in some instances. Now, another thing too is if you have Mercury square or opposite Neptune in a natal chart, another way it may be expressed is that it may be hard to find inspiration, which is Neptune, in matters associated with communications, writing, manual dexterity, which is Mercury. Now, the thing is, say if Mercury is in Aquarius as an example, those things with manual dexterity, maybe tied in, with electronic, computer, robotic work, with the hands, or as far as writings go, if Mercury is in Aquarius, there could be writings that are connected with, astronomy, astrology, computers, electronics, innovation, humanitarianism, science fiction as some examples. Now, another thing too is that there also may be issues in terms of analyzing, which is Mercury. Neptune related topics. And Neptune related topics can include chemistry, poetry, dancing, the paranormal, the metaphysical, which includes astrology, and those that are less fortunate than ourselves, such as the oppressed, the homeless, the hungry, the impoverished. I had a friend of mine, many years ago, he told me that he has Mercury square Neptune in his natal chart, and he actually took chemistry, and I think one class, 1 year or whatever, and he told me that he hardly did anything in it, and he still got good grades in it. So maybe there was some issues in terms of analyzing things that were connected with chemistry. Maybe that had something to do with him not getting the great grades in his case. So maybe it was just simply apathy. But anyway, another thing too is that these aspects may not be propitious as far as driving, which is Mercury. In Neptune-like conditions, whether it's a convoluted or confusing trip, or you're dealing, with fog or rain, which is connected, with Neptune. And the thing is, it may not be auspicious, no matter, what aspects you have in your chart, but it may be more emphasized and pronounced if you have, one of these aspects in your natal chart. And the thing is, maybe there could be more difficulty in those conditions for whatever reasons. If you have, either Mercury square or opposite Neptune in your chart. Now, another thing is, if you have one of these aspects in your natal chart, could also be there may be certain difficulty in incorporating the imagination, which is Neptune, whether it's in writing or it's dealing in terms of cars, or which is Mercury. And the thing is, if you have say the writing, you have Mercury say in Capricorn. Writings can be connected with information technology or business, construction, architecture, business related matters, career matters as some examples. Mercury and Virgo, maybe more about, health related matters, employment, doing things, in terms of, writing about, organization, compartmentalizing, and as some other examples. And another thing too is that if you have one of these aspects in your natal chart, another way it may manifest could be, not really being overly, the early education, which is Mercury, may not have been, overly favorable, for, Neptune related, subjects, and even learning through video or film, which is connected with Neptune. And whether, again, going to Neptune related subjects, that can include chemistry, poetry, dancing, photography, the paranormal, the metaphysical, which includes astrology as some examples. If, say, Mercury is in Taurus as an example, there may be more learning connected with having things demonstrated visually more so than most people. And also, too, it may be difficult to express, forgiveness, compassion, altruism, and sacrifice, which is Neptune, to siblings, cousins, and neighbors, which is Mercury. I had that same friend I was telling you about that had the Mercury, has Mercury square Neptune as natal chart. The situation with the siblings, we're a little bit contentious. We're such where it didn't seem like he showed, an overabundance, of compassion to them all the time. And I thought, what was very, interesting, regarding, him in terms of that aspect. And he had his Mercury in cynical, critical, and judgmental Virgo, so you can kind of do the math on that. Now, another thing too is that Mercury square or opposite Neptune in a natal chart can also be expressed. It could be having difficulty in terms of seeing deception and duplicity, which is Neptune, and others. If Neptune is in Sagittarius, as an example, maybe there's some matters with publishing or advertising. Maybe it has some dealings with foreigners or traveling abroad. Maybe the deception is even on a larger scale. It's, even though it's generational, the fact that it's in Sagittarius, and as an example, in Sagittarius naturally doesn't do anything on a small scale. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Leonard saying, stay well.